got that signed as well. That's pretty fucking baller. I think it's worth an insane amount. But those things are awesome to have. Our dad got those for us. What is your favorite piece of memorabilia that you have either on your wall or those big brown balls up behind you?
Let's see. That's not easy, man. I would say a couple of them. Like the Karl Malone ball was pretty special because you and I went and we had a chance to meet with John Stockton, and at that meeting we asked him to talk to Karl for us because we had been trying to meet with Karl for years, and he doesn't do signings anymore. So when we asked John to talk to Karl, and John talked to Karl at John's number retiring ceremony in Salt Lake City. And I only know that because Karl told me. He said, like, at the ceremony, John pulled him aside and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" I'm still blown away with the fact that, like, that was the moment.
First of all, let's talk about that, because Mark and I drove all night to Spokane, Washington to meet with John Stockton. We get there, we get the basketballs out, we sign, and then he asked us if we wanted a personal signature basketball. We both brought basketballs to get John to sign. But like our dad, you know, we've been part of this project for at that point for like, I think it was 8 years, 9 years.
Right. And let's just clarify, that project is the NBA at 50 signature basketball collection. So the first collection of NBA greatest players, the 50 greatest, we just got to the 75th greatest, but we had been working on a project to get all 50 greatest players to sign a set of basketballs, minus Pistol Pete because he passed away before the set was started. But yeah, so we were basically at like 43, 44, 45 kind of thing when we were right at the end, maybe even 48 when we needed Karl to finish it.
We had 48 because we had just gotten Patrick Ewing, right?
Yeah.
And Patrick Ewing was impossible. We were at 48. We needed
paid him $250,000
and
for 50
we knew that going into it. Yeah. And we knew that going into it. We knew we needed Karl Malone. And I remember you and I talked about it, and we're like, now, if we get that offer where John's like, can I sign the basketball? John's a good guy. I think we turn it down and say we would rather get blank.
Yeah. We asked him for a favor instead.
A favor instead. And you know what John said? He said, I've never had someone say no to a signature and ask me for a favor instead. He goes, and I will give you guys that favor. And, dude, and because of that, I don't think we would have had those basketballs signed if it wasn't for that situation.
Well, I know, because when I talked to Karl, he said he wasn't going to do it until John asked him. And he only did it because John asked him. And we had a great time with Karl. I mean, he's a nice guy.
And all those guys that, by the way, all those guys that make fun of us out there that are like, oh, you guys got paid to go and meet these guys, so it doesn't really count. Let me just tell you, is signatures, 50 signatures or 60, whatever signatures that we collected in that time period, right? Like, that doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, we're talking tops it would take is 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, we were fast.
We were fast every single time. But it was the time that they would talk with us, that they would ask us to shoot around, that they would have these moments with us that, like, you can't make up. And I understand, like, they're just being good guys, right? But when somebody asks you to, shoot free throws with them and they talk about their game while they're doing that, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the moments that you can't make up. And those are the moments that, yes, you're getting paid for, but those are the memories that, like, to me, like, I don't know, man. It's kind of cool having a childhood that I can see all these, guys and these players that we were able to meet and spend time with. And I think about Nate Archibald.
Yeah, Nate.
Tiny Archibald, man. The moments that he spent with us, man, one of the greatest human beings.
Year,
What's that?
Last player to lead the league in assists and points in the same year.
Yep.
And they
one
call
of the
him
greatest
Tiny.
human beings on earth, man.
Yeah.
Just great guy. It's fun.
And let's see who else. There's another basketball I have. It's signed by two players that were from different generations. It was Scottie Pippen and Billy Cunningham. And it was an interesting experience because I was down in Florida and I had to stay there for a week. And so I met with Billy, and then I met with Scottie, and it was incredible. Like, Billy won a championship as a player, won one as a coach. He was an incredible basketball player, and when the ABA was getting launched, they offered him part ownership of the team. He had won an MVP in the NBA, so he took the part ownership in the ABA, and when the ABA sold out, he ended up making like $50, maybe $100 million. The dude was like rolling it, and he's just a very smart man, and he spent a lot of time talking to me about investments and things like that. And then spending the day with Scotty and getting an autograph for our younger brother that said happy 18th birthday to John kind of thing from Scotty. That was awesome. So, I mean, I could go on, like you mentioned, Ewing, Stockton,
David Robinson,
and we also have guys like Akeem and Clyde.
Oh, that. So your Karl Malone basketball is the favorite.
It's one of them because it's what
Most
goes
meaningful.
into it. It was impossible to get. And then I have an autographed Karl Malone poster because I asked Karl for an autographed basketball, which I never did. But I was like, we already got the signatures, so why not? And his agent was like, no, he's done enough basketball signings for the day. So he went ahead and signed a poster. But when his agent walked away, Karl was like, hey, throw me that ball. And he signed it behind his agent's back. And so it's just like so many little things like that. And he invited us to go hunting with him. But, we were young, so we didn't really take him up on the offer or anything. But just good times. These are real people, and it was fun to kind of get their perspective. But, dude, we've been
it helped us in our
rambling a
game.
bit. Yeah.
It helped us in our game.
It did.
For me, my dad would be like, oh, my son's playing high school. Is there anything that, you could show him or whatever? And the moments that you would have with these guys is really great. Like, I think of the Hondo move, right?
Yeah.
Right. One of my favorite moves ever. And I spent, I don't know how many hours perfecting that. And it was a friend of mine, Andrew Havens, still lives there in Oklahoma City. Great dude. He's the one that taught me the move. All right. But he taught me, two aspects of the move. It was Kevin McHale that taught me the rest of the aspects of that move. And Kevin McHale wasn't known for his post moves.
Yep.
But he's like, listen,
he actually was, bro. That's what he was known for, his post moves.
I know. I'm just kidding, bro.
He was,
but that's my point. And like, to me, like, okay, you have the Hondo move, which is a beautiful move, but there's moments that you get stuck and you don't know what's the next move. And the way he clarified it, man, if there's a high school player out there that is looking at learning this move, man, I will teach it to you hands down. College athlete, it doesn't matter. I will teach you this move. It is one of the greatest moves, something you don't see out there a lot anymore. But I'm telling you guys, it's one of those moves if you learn how to do and you're 6'5", you will go to a Division I school because coaches will see it and immediately know that you've been coached well. So the Hondo move, guys, get it, got it, good.
Yeah, for real. It's a great move. And Mikhail is a great teacher. And, there's a bunch of, Celtics greats that we haven't mentioned, in that list of players that we met. Bird, Mikhail, like you said, and obviously Tiny Archibald. And we could go on, but at this point, we're just rambling. And we want to get back to talking about what we talk about the most, which is the Thunder. Let's talk about it from off the court, and then we'll get back on the court. I saw that Chet and the rookies were at the memorial, I think last night. I'm not exactly sure. Thunder Focus tweeted out a picture of Chet in a boot in a motorized scooter, and you saw J-Dub, J-Will, a few other people, I'm assuming, new staff and stuff like that. But Presti was there. Kind of looked a little bit depressing because of, Chet being in a boot. But I just feel like this is part of the immersion. We know that every player who joins the Thunder, every staff goes through this memorial, and they get a tour and they get an explanation of what the city means and what the trauma the city's been through. And it's really important. And just watching the somber moment and understanding these guys are being immersed in the culture of the Thunder. And that's important to us. That's not just the Thunder. It's Oklahoma City. It's understanding the history of our city, and it's critical.
Yeah, man, it really is. These are things that we like to see. We like to see Sam Presti take the guys out. We like to see these guys getting out in the town and really taking in Oklahoma City, because it is a great place. It's not the same place it was when I left in 2008, 2009.
Right.
Things have changed a lot in Oklahoma City, and it's a beautiful place. When we go back and we visit, we always stay downtown Oklahoma City if we have an opportunity to. We really like the Riverwalk. We like to do stuff like that. But, it's crazy thinking about it with everything that happened in 1995 to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
13
years later, they get an NBA team. I mean, who would have ever thought that?
Exactly. And I think that's the coolest thing of seeing how things sometimes, the shitty things have to happen in order for the good things to have to happen. And that thing was a horrible, horrible thing that happened. But, you know, looking at Oklahoma City and looking at how everything ended up coming to Oklahoma City with the Supersonics, like, you know, it's hard to say that without the bad, horrible event that the city was able to bounce back off of. You know, like, man, you and I, we moved to Oklahoma City, what, 2 or 3 months after the bombing?
Yeah, pretty fast, dude. It
was pretty fast because, you know, we were in Pennsylvania at the time, living in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Our family had made it known that we were moving to Oklahoma. So when we went to the state fair or whatever, everybody was like, hey, what's up with this, you know, bombing in Oklahoma City? Which, again, you know, as a family with young kids, my parents were scared, you know, like, what are we doing? Why are we moving to this place that has, you know, things like this? And, you know, I'll tell you this right here is every single time we talk about moving from out of Pennsylvania to Oklahoma, it is the most meaningful thing for us, for our families, because my parents have 13 grandchildren because of it. So, you know, like, us 4 boys needed to get out of that Pennsylvania, and Oklahoma City, you know, was an amazing area for us to grow up in. And I'm really thankful that we had our opportunity. You know, Mark and I, we grew up in Oklahoma City, so 23rd, and I don't even remember what the street was, but it was over by Bethany on 23rd Street, 36th place, I think the address was, something like that. But we grew up in that area right there. I loved it, man. It was a really, really great area to grow up in, and I think about it often. And, you know, it's one of those things where I look at my life. I spent 12 years in, or 11 years in Pennsylvania, 12 years in Oklahoma, and I've been on the road ever since. So I appreciate all the love Oklahoma still brings to us. And we get to watch the team now, man. Yeah. Like, that's the greatest thing about being away from Oklahoma is we still feel part of the community because of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I spent some time this morning really taking apart one of my favorite players that's coming on. That's a rookie. But one of my favorite players I've seen personally in a very, very long time. The way he plays the game, way he understands the game is really next level. Jay Will, our 2nd round pick this year. Let me just tell you guys, I don't know why he wasn't a 1st round pick. I just don't. Like, I'm watching what he does and the next level shit that I see, and I'm just like, holy fuck. Jay Will's special, man. The way he understands defensive schemes.
You want to know why he's not a 1st round pick? Because he doesn't fit cleanly into a box of a different player like that we've seen before be a 1st round pick. But he is a 1st round pick in talent, similar to JRE was last year.
Yeah, I'm blown away by him, man. I mean, think about this. I sent you a text. My text said he plays basketball like he's playing football, and everybody else is playing racquetball.
Yeah, dude. Explain that.
So the way, you know how these guys are out there touching the ball, throwing it, whatever, you know, right? Mm-hmm. Barely. I mean, sometimes these guys are hogging the ball, like, but big men, right? They typically touch the ball, and very few times do you see those guys pass the ball. Okay, so I've always looked at it like you have an offense and a defensive line, right? And your offense and defensive line is right down there in the blocks. Okay, so you're pushing around and all this other stuff, right? So Jay Will has this idea that the physicality, yes, it's there, but the way he gets around players, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so any of those guys that tip the ball or anything else like that, JRE is all over that shit, man. There were so many times that I saw JRE get steals in the highlights, right? Where these guys would get in front of Jay Will, right? They'd be playing that position game like in racquetball, which you need to have that position game, right? And then you see Jay Will pull out their chair, or you see Jay Will, you know, body them up. But each circumstance, he understood exactly what he needed to do. It was as if he was able to see the future of it. Like, the crazy thing about it is that on 3 different plays, I watched Jay Will come down on back-to-back plays against LSU. Okay. Mm-hmm. The first play, he said, literally, it's like he set up for a steal. And the only way to explain it is because he comes down, he fronts the guy, right? I don't even remember who the LSU guy was. It doesn't really matter. I don't know if it was his freshman or senior year. He had 19 points, 10 rebounds. I'm pretty sure it's his, not freshman, sophomore year. Pretty sure it was this last year. But anyways, he comes down, He fronts him. The guy gets in front of him. Now, what happens when you force your offensive player and you're playing defense to get in front of you after you fronted him? What happened there? You just brought your offensive player outside the box and out of position. Okay? So now he's got him out of position out high. All right? So this guy now knows that he has to get back down, right, into that low block. So what does a player do when they do that? Well, I've got my back to them. I'm going to push my ass right into their dick or whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to keep on pushing them until I get to that spot, right? So what does Jay Will do? The first time that guy goes up against him, he pulls the chair out, okay? The guys don't pass him the ball, but he pulls the chair out. The guy's useless on the floor. So the next time he comes down, right, Jay Will fronts him again. And what does he do? He tries to side front him and push him out. You know what Jay does? He does
I think he does a spin move and regains
the spin move.
The baseline.
The spin move on defense, man. Like, and the guy's just like, well, I had the position. He had the position, but the spin move took him out of position. He keeps doing this stuff. And then the last play, right, is he comes out. The he's a little bit out of position, and now he's a little frustrated because he's been taken out of the both plays that time before. And this is where the guy puts a little physicality on him. The ball's on his wing. And what does he do? He slips around for the steal, and that was all 3 plays in a nutshell. He takes the center out twice in a row, and then he gets the steal because he pretty much just took him out of the game at that point. He
kind of props him up and then just goes and gets the ball.
Goes and gets the ball. Boom. And I think that's the thing about way that Jay Will understands the game is that he understands it's a battle. You know, it's not like, okay, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to play against him one-on-one one time. You know, like I saw Jay Will give guys a bucket one time, right? And the bucket he gave him, I can't even say he gave him. It was almost an impossible shot, okay? Right? Half layup, half jumping, whatever. But he stopped, like, trying to stop it. And he landed on the ground and turned around, waited for the rebound. Yeah. Like, he recognized that that shot was an impossible shot, so why am I going to try to make it more impossible? I'm just going to get the rebound. I mean, the guy hit the shot, but it's that next level stuff that you see that you don't see a lot of NBA players even understanding that. They just go to the end with their hands up and try to, you know, like, impossible shot, hands down, I'm going to rebound it. Like, these are the things that you need on the defensive end. Like, Jay Will understands the game and how to dissect the defense. He's back there telling everybody where to go. He's saying this, he's saying that. And then on top of that, he's averaging 1.1 blocks a game, right? Yeah. And he's averaging how many? He's averaging over a charge a game. Okay, so think about that. Do you think motherfuckers are going to want to come down the lane on him?
Yeah, for real.
I'm telling you guys, no one's going to want to fucking deal with Jay Will because he's going to take charges. And if he doesn't take a charge, it's going to be because he recognizes they're off balance and he's going to get a block shot. Because he's smart like that. He understands the defensive side in such a way that this is going to be one of those things where everybody's going to look back as we look at Draymond Green, respectfully, as the steal of 10 years. Because anytime that you have a player like Draymond Green that helps you win championships, right? That gets you to that level because of he's willing to do whatever it fucking takes. I'm telling you guys, Jay Will is going to be a starter, and he's going to be a starter in the league for a very, very, very long time. He's a superb player. Obviously, his athleticism is something that needs a little work, but I'm not worried about that because he's not required to do that. One of the things I want to say, though, is one thing I had to go back and I had to consistently, like, double check my numbers here because I don't want to throw weird numbers out here. But Jay Will's passing, man, is next level. He averaged 2.7 assists per 40 minutes that he played. I mean, I've never heard of a center / power forward average 2.7 assists per 40 in college ball as a sophomore. The way that he is able to pass the ball and understand where the guys are at, he doesn't need to shoot the ball. He doesn't need to do any of this stuff. What he needs to do is do what he's good at. He needs to catch and shoot, which he's phenomenal at catching and shooting. He can catch and shoot the best of them.
Really?
Oh, my God, yes. And then the other thing he needs to do, right, is that he needs to continue to do the things that he does well on defense. and he needs to take the charges, and he needs to do the little things that nobody else wants to do, because when push comes to shove, this guy passes the ball well, he understands the game well, and if he doesn't need to take and make shots for himself and make opportunities for himself, and he can rely on passing the ball to the open guy, which is the offense. That's what our offense is. It's the open guy, getting the ball to the open guy. If he can get the ball to the open guy and he can get to the hole, cut back door, do all these other things that he's so good at, he's going to come in and he's going to be instantaneously a guy that we cannot not have on the floor. And that's what I see in him. He's immediately going to be impactful on this team in such a way that we're all going to step back and just be in complete awe of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. So tell me, why do you think he's such a good shooter? Because I feel like that's his weakness in the game right now.
So check it out. He shot 23% from three-point range this year. Right. 17 for 71. Something not very good like that, right?
Right. I mean, that's what I'm thinking too, is like, I don't see that shooter that you do.
But when he catches and he has his feet planted, Mark, his numbers are way up. Way up. And I think that's the thing about it, is that at Arkansas, because he's one of the better players, he was required to do more.
Right.
Play outside the system almost. Like we heard Draymond Green talking about there's two guys on every team that can do whatever the fuck they want, and everybody else is a system player. Right? That's what he is, man. He's not supposed to be one of those guys that takes out and becomes an all-star or becomes like a 15-year all-star. Like, I could see him becoming a couple-year all-star, yeah. But he's not going to be one of those guys that's going to dominate all the fucking numbers all the fucking time. He's going to come out there and he's going to do whatever it takes, whatever it's right for the team. His catch and shoot, I think, is perfect. And the way that he gets open and his pick and roll game, Mark, is truly elite. I really love the way that he is able to delay his acting or what we call a short roll. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. His short roll, your camera on your phone is a little jacked.
I know, dude. I'm trying to fucking figure that shit out, dude. I think I'm just going to kill it because
I was just making fun of it. You're good, dude. You're good.
I'm just killing it, bro.
No. You know what it is, man? It's just delayed. You're good. But his pick and roll, man, I love it. I really love watching his pick and roll. It's something that, he understands who's the guys playing defense on him. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you, though, like, why is it that you think he's a good shooter when he doesn't seem to be? Is it his form? Is it his, like, decision-making on his shot?
His form is a little bit mechanical. What's that?
Yeah, is it, like, just his ability to choose the right shots, or, like, what specifically is so inspiring to you?
All right. His shot is a little bit more mechanical than I like. I like to see a shot that is a little bit what I call a little bit more loose. Bob Hoffman used to teach this class about shooting, right? He would be like, everybody, come on, shake your hands, like, go like this right here, right? And he would get everybody to relax their arms, you know?
Right.
Because he said a stiff shot isn't a shot that you want. That sounds a little dirty now that I said it. But seriously, like a stiff shot is something that you don't want. Now, I see Jay Will with a little stiff shot, and I think that's the problem with the way that his percentages comes out, okay? Here's the beautiful thing about a stiff shot, though, Mark. A shot is fixable. A stiff shot is fixable. It's one of the most fixable things I've known as a coach.
New shooting coach, Oklahoma City Thunder. That's what I'm thinking, too. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's for Giddey.
So when you see him
rookies
consistently hit, shots when he's open, a set shot, whether that's inside the three-point line or outside the three-point line, it doesn't matter. If he's set, with his feet set, he's hitting that shot consistently, that proves that he can do it. That's what I see in Jay Will. He does that inside the arc. It doesn't matter, catch and shoot. Whatever the case is, he can hit that shot when his feet are set. And that's the thing that excites me because, again, this 23% from three-point range with a stiff shot isn't that exciting. But I know for a fact, once you loosey-goosey that shit, he's going to put some oil in that, and everything's going to work really, really well. I would say lube, but, I mean, oil works better.
Depends, right, on your usage. But I'm a big fan of what you're talking about with Jay Will. Like, I see the potential on the defensive end. Offensively, for me, I think his biggest strength is his ability to be a bit of a I don't know what the word is, but like a conduit maybe is the right word. Like he understands how to run an offense without like scoring. The way you were talking about him being like the back line of the defense, almost like a linebacker, right? Like his job is to like read and react and then kind of like take advantage of where he understands the offense is going. Offensively, the ball doesn't get stuck in his hands. And that's such an important thing. Like you were talking about it and you kind of like mentioned it, but with Coach Daignault's system, like if you have a player who catches the ball, pounds the rock into the wood for a little bit, like bam, bam, bam. Oh, I didn't get any advantages trying to back somebody down, kick it out. Well, we lost all of our advantage. Like Jay Will understands getting the ball from side to side. And yeah, like the summer league, it was like his 3-point shooting was concerning, but like he's a rookie. He came out early, a bit early, considering like if he'd stuck around another year, he would have probably been drafted quite a bit higher. And I just see like his skill set is being really important for what we do. I think a lot of people have assumed he's going to end up down at the G League. I don't see that. I think him and JRE are going to be so important, so critical for what we do as far as effort, timing, teamwork. Those are all the important stuff. Like everybody wants wins. We want wins, but you don't get wins until you've done all the little things first. And these guys are going to lay it down every day for us. And yeah, man, I love Jay Will. I think he's one of those players that he plays better when he's playing with better players, right? And I think that's going to be one of his big advantages. And when he gets up there, sure, we're going to be outmanned a lot of games, almost every game. But like if you have guys like Jay Will, they can use what other people see as disadvantages to their advantage.
Yeah, really, he does a phenomenal job. I think we have to say that he's the best charge taker in the last 20 years. I think he could even be the greatest charge taker ever. And I think that's something that, when you're able to put your name in something that's so valuable in the game as being ever, then I think that's something it's really crazy. But he's so mobile. He's his defensive angles are beautiful. But I mean, really, his superpower, like I said, is taking charges. And one day, right, this is not even funny. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's going to be an Oklahoma City Thunder challenge where it's going to be people going out and getting videos of themselves taking a charge, whether that's taking a charge from a car hitting them, taking a charge from their kids running them over. And it's going to be one of those things. So, if we have anybody that's out there that likes to do videos like that on Twitter or TikTok or whatever, man, I would love to see you guys take a charge and call it the Jay Will Challenge and get something started on that, because the reality is this is going to be something that everybody in the league is going to take by storm when they start recognizing that we have maybe the greatest charge taker of all time on our team, and people are going to start doing the Jay Will Challenge for sure.
Yeah, just make sure you get your feet set before the contact. That's really critical. You don't want to be moving your feet, or that's going to be a block every time, and we'll call you out for it.
I want to say this. I read something, and I was seeing something that somebody said about Jay Will, and they said that he has mastered the flop, right? That's where I disagree with, because when he takes that charge, he takes that charge.
Yeah.
That there's contact. It hurts. You can say, oh, that's a flop. I mean, motherfucker, have you taken a fucking charge when someone hits you with their shoulder right in the middle of your chest? I mean, I can tell you, there's been a couple times that I stood up when a 5'10" guy or 5'8" guy ran down the lane and ran into me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it hurt. And it didn't matter that they were only 125 pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It still hurt.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. You can say it's a flop, but what it is, it's precision, timing, and when the contact hits you. Because if you wait half a second and the contact hits you, then you wait half a second, then it looks like a flop, right? Mm-hmm. If you fall before the contact hits you, they're not going to call that. It's all about the contact and hitting the ground when the contact happens, making the sounds, making all that other stuff. And he's so good at it that it's... Listen, if that's all he does in the game is comes in and averages 2 charges or picks up 2 charges a game where he's allowed the team 2 extra possessions. I'm telling you guys, that's elite. And we're going to get him playing so much, it's not even going to be funny. Like, he's going to break records. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, he almost broke the all-time record if he had stuck around for another year. I bet he would have got it, bro. Like,
dude, for sure.
Beat Battier on that one, but for college anyway. So I think he's got a lot to like. He's athletic, although some people say that's one of his weaknesses. I kind of disagree. I think he knows how to.
He'll be right.
Yeah, he knows how to utilize like his athletic strengths, and so like, is he dunking on people? Is he jumping over people? No, but like if you have great anticipation and you can see where the ball's going, like that makes up for a lot of athleticism.
It really does. I mean, it really
just
does.
Beat it there. Yeah, you just get after it. And man, when I watch his like game, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Like I always say whenever I mention the Memphis Grizzlies, because I don't like the team. But when I look at the role players, I really love those role players. Like I love them. Like I would love to make up a team full of those guys. But when I turn around and I look at the guys that we have on our team, I'm like, these guys are role players in the making like that. Like Kenny Hustle, Lou Dort, Jay Will. I mean, this is all the same vein of this idea that Sam Presti says these are the players that we want Coach to have. This is the team that we're going to make up. It's going to be superstars. It's going to be role players who are stars in their role. Like, I feel like in the past we had superstars and we had a couple guys who understood their role and excelled in it. But did we really have guys off the bench who were stars in their role? Not since James Harden, in my opinion. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I wish I was wrong.
No, you're right.
All right.
You're right.
I wish I was wrong, dude. I do. But that's a weakness of this team. And that's what I see Jay Will being a big-time solution to is Tony Allen type, get out there, make your impact on the defensive end, and then you're going to get opportunities on the offensive end just through transition, through opportunities, and just do your best when you get those.
That's it.
Yeah.
Man, before we go on, I forgot to push record on.
Cheers, dude. Doesn't matter.
Good.
Everybody, you're gonna hear the version online.
No, dude. Like I said, there's very few players that I have ever scouted that I've gotten this excited about, and he's probably when push comes to shove, there's always gonna be players in my mind that are going to be like, okay, this player is the best player we've ever scouted.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about favorite player's game that I have ever seen, that I love the flow of his game, the way he goes, the way that he holds himself. I mean, fuck, man, even some of his videos that he has on Twitter and TikTok and shit like that, man, he is such a fun guy, and you can tell. And the way he is as a human is the way he plays the game. And that's what's so impressive about him, is that fun personality that's contagious, man. Jay Will is going to be one of those guys that as a fan of Oklahoma City Thunder, you're going to end up loving. He's going to be your favorite off the bench in the beginning, and then when he becomes a starter, he's going to be people's favorites because he connects to people. You know, he's not that unobtainable star that everybody wishes that they had access to. He's one of those guys that's down to earth, and he's going to make things work around him, and I love it, dude. There's very few people that I have watched their game that I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's going to be something special.
For sure, dude. For sure. Well, we were going to talk about JRE too, but I say we save that till Monday, bro, because, like...
Yeah, dude, JRE is so special, man, and I don't want to, take away from J. Will, you know what I'm saying? For
sure, dude. For sure. I definitely agree with that, and, I appreciate everybody continuing to listen to us. It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, there's been a lot of ups and downs over the years, and our last few episodes, frankly, weren't the most fun we've ever done. It was, a hard look at the direction the future of this team is going in.
Do you mind if we take 10 seconds to talk about that? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that have both voiced their agreeance to us that are inside organizations even, and there's other people that have disagreed with us, and
which is the majority.
Which is the majority.
Fans. And the big fans, right? The ones who bought, like you did, the SGA jersey and
I want to make sure that everybody knows But Mark and I are not saying that we want the Thunder to trade Shea. We're not saying that. Okay? We want Shea to stay on this team. We want him to be part of the future. What Mark and I are saying is that in every player's career, you have to recognize where your team is going currently, and if you understand that you have a purpose with that team. Mm-hmm. And now we're saying that Shea and Sam Presti have to have this conversation. We don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. We don't know if that means that we get to keep Shea or not, but that means that Sam and Shea have to have this conversation, and that's that. Now, we can sit here and disagree with us bringing it up and talking about it and whatever, but listen, our numbers were not great. We did not want to talk about that. But we felt like we needed to talk about it because it's something that's probably happening. And in our opinion, it's happening inside the Oklahoma City Thunder organization. So talking about it and getting it out there is the only way to process things. And Mark and I use this as a way of getting out our frustrations sometime, a way of resetting our day. And so when we have an opportunity to talk about something that really doesn't sit well with us, that we got to process, we're going to do so.
Absolutely, dude. And, of course, not everybody wants to see this, but one of the guys on YouTube, I just want to give him a shout out because, it's not easy to say these things, but his name is Camille Lencian. I'm saying that wrong, I know, but what he said was, I'm all in. I'm all on you guys. I'm sorry. I'm all on you guys.
I love it when people are on me.
And I love it too. Despite the love I have on Shea, I truly don't think he will be part of the Thunder future. Our team is so young, and the project doesn't feature with the timeline. All right. I really think it could be a better situation for him to move on and maximize his potential level to be the level he deserves. Okay. That's all we're saying. It's not that we don't want him. We love him. And sometimes when you love someone, you want what's best for them, even if it means not being with you.
You asked me it. You asked me the question. If this was your nephew, if this was your kid, what would your advice be for them right now? You're the one that asked me that. You're the one that started this whole idea of the process of what Shea would do. Like, what are people saying about it? Because when you asked that, I seriously sat there and I'm like, yeah, Mm-hmm. And if we can't make up our minds on what we would be saying, and we are big fans of Oklahoma City Thunder and inside, what we consider being part of that family there, and if we can't make up our minds on what's best for Shea, then you know what? I mean, we're not the only ones sitting there saying the same thing. So is it shame on us for saying something?
Yeah, and shame on us for saying something, but everybody wanted to trade Shea last year for the number one pick, which they're like, oh, well, the number one pick's worth more than 4 Knicks picks. Well, whatever. We disagree. But
Cade could be. He could end up being one of those stars that we all be like, damn it, we wish we could have got that guy. But
let me ask you, bro, would you rather the number one pick or 4 top 10 picks, not knowing exactly where they'll end up?
Like, are you saying 4 unprotected picks?
Yeah.
Shit, bro. That's real because, like we've seen it happen before where a team just sucks for 2 years in a row. Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. Like, that could be fucking gold, bro. You could get, like, the first and third pick or something like that. But, man, it depends on the draft. If we're coming up to this next year, right?
Right.
And you're saying that we could have, the great French player.
Yeah, Victor.
If we could have Victor and Chet on the same team, man, that would be sick. But, again, I'm looking at it like this, is that the only way to get that is by getting the number one pick, because we can't dupe the Orlando Magic into picking in somebody else other than Chet this time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm at. Like, this is the moment right here that we're looking at and we're saying, okay, this is a possibility that the Thunder are going to be looking at this next year. Now, if the Thunder are convinced to stay put, and a team like, I don't know, let's just say it, like a Portland or something like that gets the number 1 pick, even though they barely missed the playoffs or whatever, and they wanted Shea, they could trade us that pick. Now, I would do that. I mean, I would take 1 pick, next year's first pick of the draft, for Shea. And, you know, of course there would be other things that would be switching hands, but there's very far and few between drafts that I would say Shea. I don't think I would put Shea on the trading block this year, even for Chet. I mean, I love Chet, but it's hard for me, you know, like I looked at Chet and Shea and Josh Giddey, you know, to say, oh, you got to give up Shea for Chet would be hard. But to say that we could have Victor, Chet, and Josh Giddey, that to me is a different, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's a different conversation, and that's a conversation that we have to be considering, because, like, sometimes there's drafts that's like, okay, if we get the number 1 pick or get close to it, we've got to try. You know, like, this is one of those years. Like, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are great players, great role players probably, but number 1, man, if we have an opportunity that this year, it's kind of hard to say no to, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like being like 17 years old and your best friend bought a stripper over and you get a free hand job. All you got to do is just sit there. Like this is exactly that situation, man. Like, you have an opportunity to like get something for nothing, you know? And I think that's what we're talking about, is that if the Thunder make this decision to move past Shea, I think it's obvious what we're doing, you know? And I hate using that fucking word tank. It's such a despicable word in my opinion, right? But that would be the first move that I would even consider close to a tank move that Sam's done.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that.
I wouldn't even call it that, though. But that would be the first move.
Digging deeper into the rebuild, right?
Yes.
I'd be saying, like, okay,
doubling down.
Right, you got Shea, Chet, and Giddey. Shea's 4 years older than them, and the question is, that's it. It's not like, you know, I get it. Like, some people will be like, oh, technically you're trading a young player to stay bad. Well, I don't think that the purpose is to stay bad. Will we be bad if we trade Shea? Yeah, we're not going to be as good. We know that. But is it more about building around the 20-year-olds? Hell yeah, it is. That's what it's all about. So whatever. Like, people can criticize us for our unwillingness to say a word that's derogatory toward the team. Fine. Like, they want to wipe shit all over their faces, let them. That's fine. We're just going to sit here and be like, we're staying clean of that shit.
Shea, Chet, Josh Giddey is the 3 guys that I want to cheer for in Oklahoma City for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, as simple as that.
Retire,
I don't give a shit. I want to be 75 years old telling my kids about this team that I watched in Oklahoma City with Chet, Shea, and Josh.
Yeah.
But just because that's what I want, just because that's what I desire, doesn't mean that's what's going to fucking happen. You know, like, I want also what Shea wants, and that's what's best for his career. And sometimes that means that doesn't include us.
But hey, it's been great watching him out there in the summer league runs, pick up games with the guys. That's been fun. I feel like that is an indicator to me that he's all in on this team right now, and that's what we want. Like, we want to see Shea excel and be the leader that we know he can be. In the end, other teams are probably going to want him too. We've seen that with the Hawks. We've seen that with a ton of teams. So here we are. We're at it again, but obviously, you know, there's no smoke, there's no fire. We're just trying to be prepared for whatever might be around the corner.
But listen, look it up, guys. If you don't believe us, look up for the smoke and put Shea Gilgeous-Alexander trade. And you guys will see what we're talking about. It's for real.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it's not for real, but we're going to leave it there for today. We'll be back on Monday. We hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Fall is in the air, and we're having a blast. So thanks for joining us, and keep an eye out for our Apple channel, podcast channel. We're going to be adding a new podcast soon, and what's it about, I don't know. We don't really know. It's just going to be a lot of fun. So keep tuned. Thank you for joining us on YouTube, on Spotify Video Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Apple Video Podcasts, anywhere you're joining us. Thank you. And we will see you soon. Thunder up.